How you doing, guys? Excuse me for the noise. I'm doing this in my room. I couldn't really find a good place to do this. And excuse me while I marvel at this, my new Galaxy S8. It's a gorgeous phone, Samsung all the way. All right, but as we all know, my name is Justin Bell. I did a research proposal on PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, along with mass communication. What I mean by that is, do journalists experience post-traumatic stress disorder? And if they do that trauma affect how they deliver their news? Are we receiving good news? I can tell from my own experience that post-traumatic stress disorder is a monster in itself. I've recently just had to trigger myself a few days ago, last week. My apologies, earlier this week about an episode. Life, school, everything that's coming into account. I suddenly couldn't take it, and I just wasn't in a good place. As y'all know, I'm very verbal and very thorough with me. I don't mind telling you who I am. That's just the person that I am. All right, but enough about me. Let's go into the subject at hand. Post-traumatic stress disorder. What is it? Well, excuse me, guys, while I get my trusty computer out. According to PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, it is a mental health problem that some people develop after experiencing witnessing a life-threatening event like combat, a natural disaster, a car accident, or sexual assault. So with that being said, we all know that post-traumatic stress disorder is just not tied to just combat. First responders, for example, they're usually the first ones to see the trauma, like a car accident or a murder or a rape victim. First responders that include police, firefighters, ambulance, EMTs. So, on to the next. Now, but our main subject is mass communication. What do journalists experience? Well, there's a story that I was reading, that I felt that really gave an insight of how journalists what they really go through. The journalist by the name of Dave Dares, he was in an IED explosion. On a side note, that would induce my trauma. January, I think it was around the 20th, 2010, we was hit by a roadside bomb attack. My unit, 160 Infantry. My injuries wasn't really that severe. I did suffer trauma to my hand. I had to get a metal plate put in my hand. I had about 15 or so stitches. I was out of work. I got flown home. I was out of work for maybe 21 days. I was messed up, but it wasn't the injury that really caused my trauma. It was the explosions. It was definitely the explosions, but it was the fact that I saw my friends who I've trained with, who I slept in the same bunk with, who I joked around with, who I've gone out with. He was in bad shape, and he didn't make it. And I'm gonna let you know, I've been in maybe 80 or so firefights in my 9 months deployments. Firefights range from small arms fire to we're just going down, somebody throws a potato grenade at us, shoots an RPG at us. Usually whenever they shoot an RPG, that means that ambush is coming and we gotta buckle down. Now, my time over there, I was around some journalists. I don't know them by name. I never really interacted with them, but I knew they were there. And whenever we was out on patrol or doing a village search, when we was looking for some HVTs, high value targets, the journalists would accompany us, and they wouldn't be that far behind us. Granted, they would either stay with the convoy within the Humvees or near the MRAPs, which is the MRAPs are basically mine-resistant armor protective material that they are in a shape of a V. So when an explosion IED hits, the blast is cut in half and it spreads outward instead of containing the blast all in one area. They would be in those vehicles. But a lot of them would just be documenting the time, what we're doing, taking pictures of the battlefield or injuries, or just being reported, doing what journalists do. I don't really have any stories about any journalist been in any combat. That's why I decided to pick up this one story. I have several, and this guy, like I said, what really got him is he saw the death. It wasn't the explosion; it was the death of a friend of his that he's been involved with for a long time. He said that once he experienced that trauma, he couldn't go back to work. He couldn't do anything with his life. Nothing seemed right to him no more. So I'd like to share that story. There was one point in time he said that when he had went to work, he called into his boss and said that he couldn't work anymore. He couldn't concentrate. His life, his home life, it was destroyed, fractured. You know, he was a socialite before the war, and he covered. I'm not mistaken. He covered the first, the first invasion of Iraq, and amongst other wars, but it was the invasion of Iraq that he received the trouble with. And he said that once he received this trauma, that his whole life became upside down. He could no longer engage in activities with his wife and kids. He was distant from them. When he was just so lethargic in everything that he did, and that just goes to show that me as a combat veteran, what I experienced, these journalists they were not even in combat, but yet they experienced the same things that I do. The night terrors, the hot flashes, like my body stays hot at night because the nighttime is when you hear guns, and it's just, when you're in Afghanistan, you hear guns in the back, in the battleground, nighttime, you hear just their music playing, cars going, goats making their noises. And there's a whole lot of factors that when you come back to the States, after being in the country like that you got that contributes to the things like walking on the ground. Like when I came back home, I kissed the ground. You know, their ground is different than our ground. Their air smells different. They have no local government or even local sanitary sewage division. Like there's garbage in the streets. The water is death. You know, you drink that water, you would get dysentery, you would get all types of bacteria. It's just bad news over there. And you add water to that, it just destroys the brain. There's a lot of trauma that goes on in that. So my thing is, I know it affected my work to a certain extent. It affects how I view things. Especially it affects how I view Middle Eastern people. There's nothing against them. Some of them are great people, It's just my experiences with them, the things that I've seen, like the things that I hold up in here, it just puts me on a different plane, a different side of the fence than what I should be. Now, you have a news journalist who their sole purpose is to get embedded, to cover the war, to cover what's going on in Afghanistan, Syria, what's happening with ISIS. And then you factor in all these factors, and when they come home, you have to start wondering: are they put together enough that they can deliver us good news, or will it still be the same person? Will we receive quality news at prime time? Will it be biased news? Will this news affect how I live my daily life and how I view the world because of their views and how they and the wars and trauma that they saw over there? We don't really know. It's been studied. Zahava Solomon, who's a great, I would say, forerunner in this area. She calls PTSD combat stress reaction. It's basically the same thing, but she added her own spin to it. She did a study covering the Lebanon War, where she took a group of Lebanon soldiers who had fought in the war, a group of Lebanon soldiers who did not fight in the war, then a group of Lebanon soldiers who were ready to fight in the war but did not experience no combat. And from those group, I would say maybe a few hundred people, she factored in stuff as latent PTSD, reactive PTSD, PTSD that is triggered by location, PTSD that is triggered by event, situation, emotion. She categorized PTSD, so it's not just PTSD as a whole. What stage of PTSD are you at? What triggers your PTSD? Because in the end stage, that's what we want to know. What causes the triggers so we can prevent those triggers? We don't want somebody to give the news on prime time, something important, and say, for instance, somebody that experienced some trauma over there, saw some horrible events in Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, wherever they may be, and then they come over here and they give a news story about something simple as an election, or a political view, or a international view. Their view is biased because they experience something horrible over there. They don't want to go back. They already have a negative attitude, a negative demeanor to what the news that they're trying to receive is. It's trying to push out to everybody else. So what needs to be done about that? How can we prevent that? I think that we need to really focus on a specific area of post-traumatic stress disorder, and not just the disorder as a whole. We need to figure out triggers and what are the exact stressors that enable somebody PTSD. My experience, I can tell you right now, I have things it's really hard to describe the things that I've been through. There's a good movie about Restrepo. If you've never seen it, it's on Netflix. It's about a combat medic named Dr. Restrepo, nicknamed Dr. Restrepo, who was in Kandahar, if I'm not mistaken, and they had built a small base, a man-made base, something that wasn't really protected. And where they were stationed at is some place I was familiar with, because I know of the camp. It's just, you imagine an island or a building surrounded, it's a building in the middle of a forest, and all you see is mountainous terrain. And they had the low ground. They tried to get the high ground, but it just wasn't covered. It just wasn't safe enough. And this reporter stayed along them the whole entire way until Dr. Sherpo got killed during an ambush. That reporter was in that ambush. That reporter described that ambush. That reporter videotaped that ambush. That reporter afterwards was not the same person in the beginning of this film, as you can see when he was documenting, as he was towards the end. He was more cautious, more realistic, more and definitely more resilient, because he already seen Dr. Restrepo killed. He has seen injury, and he has seen how bad the Taliban have us outnumbered in certain situations. People don't understand that when we go to those countries, it's their country. They know the terrain. These guys are walking around in skirts and dresses and sandals in mountains, carrying weapons that are far inferior to our weapons. But yet they managed to ambush us daily. They managed to blow our vehicles up. They managed to capture our people. It's a never-ending war. It's scary, and it's easily can enable PTSD. Just anything. Sometimes when I'm driving down the road, I used to think it was a myth, but as I'm driving down the road, I may swerve because I see some type of container or something in the road, or I'm more cautious as I drive past the container. Because as you know, in Afghanistan, whenever you see something on the side of the road, you stop. Everybody stop. We call in quick reaction force, QRF, and we call an EOD team in. They'll bring their minesweeper up. They make sure you got an ID. It's scary. So that's what I think this proposal should be for. This video proposal right here is to show everybody, to give everybody a little bit more knowledge about this disorder, because it's not talked about. We have our main diseases: cancer, HIV/AIDS, lately Ebola, that one virus that was plaguing everybody with the babies, the Zika virus. We have all these other viruses and disorders, Parkinson's, what's the other one? Kidney disease, anything else. We have a plethora of knowledge about these subjects. But when it comes to post-traumatic stress disorder, when it comes to the mind, we all know that the mind is something that can't be tapped. We only even use one section of the brain as it is. We don't even know the full potential of our mind. So when it comes to these mental disorders, these psychological disorders, we can't really know. We can't really be for sure. That's why we need to study. We need tests. We need to be able to evaluate people on a large scale, so we can specify exactly what key factors that make this disorder so troubling. The military states 22 suicides a day. That's real. I know of 3 people of my friends, 2 good friends, one person I know of, that committed suicide. One drunk himself to death. 19 years old, went to war when he was 18, just got out of high school, 3 months in, sent to war. Things like that. Think about, and now, but here's the upside to it. We're trained for that. We get training. We're gung ho to go to war. We have the proper equipment, we have the training, we have the foresight, we have the just do it. But think about a journalist, somebody out of an Ivy League school or HBCU or some type of just anywhere, don't have the training, don't have the street knowledge of the military, don't really have the tactical skills, the precision. It's when me especially, I was 11 Bravo. I was on the front lines. Even in our mantra, shoot, communicate, move. Shoot, communicate, kill, move. Shoot, communicate, kill, move. Kill, kill, kill. That's what we're trained as an infantry soldier. Trust me, I cannot tell you how many times I said that four-letter word in basic training. But journalists, we get trained. This is what we do. We make videos. We write papers. We conduct interviews. We do stories. Put us in the battlefield. What do? We don't have no home training, especially in something like that. Maybe they could give battlefield test training, to journalists. Maybe that could be a thing, but it would be inexpensive, and I don't think it would be effective. Because if they wanted that testing, then they could join the military or some other field that makes it relevant. So, all I'm saying is we need to be more knowledgeable about this because it's becoming a big thing. PTSD in itself is a monster. Like I said, I've seen some things that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. I've just as of Monday, I myself had to be evaluated because I was triggered this past weekend. Life weighs us down, and then when you add in the fact that you have a mental disorder, that can also add some weight to the issue as well. And mental order is a stigma. I've learned to grow over that, move past the stigma of having a mental disorder. Being documented, being on paper, being in medical institutions, having my head prodded, having to go to counselings, medicated, always get the phone calls, "Are you okay?" That's what somebody with PTSD experience. Add that along with school, work, family, graduate school. It's pretty tough. Think about what the reporters go through. They have deadlines. They have interviews to conduct. They have to make sure all this stuff is accurate. They have to double check, triple check their stuff. Then they have to go see somebody about that stuff. They're not making it. It's not for them. It's for the world. It's a public interest that we receive unbiased, accurate news. But you have somebody that has PTSD. They reported the news. They get triggered because of a story. They have a mental breakdown. What happens? But again, PTSD is not combat related. Sexual assaults, homicide, murder, crimes, anything, car accidents, natural disasters, as I stated earlier, anything can cause PTSD. So, if I could take into consideration, I think about anybody you know with PTSD and they suffer from that, give them a helping hand, say everything's going to be okay. Every once in a while, give them a phone call, because one of the biggest elements of PTSD is the solitude. I can tell you right now, this video is not me. I'm doing this because one, I'm passionate about this. Two, it's for a break, and three, it needs to be said. There's something that I've been saying that this needs to be said. So it needs to be known, coming from a combat veteran who has PTSD, who is a mass comm graduate, mass comm major, who wants to be in that element, one day. When I first became a mass comm major, I wanted to be a war correspondent. I wanted to do military news. That was my first thing. I still do, because I don't know what direction I want to go in right now, but I still do want to do military news. Maybe I can bring some type of diversity in the knowledge of post-traumatic stress disorder, because they don't talk about it in the news, but it needs to be talked about. So here I am talking about it. And I wish this video could be longer because I have plenty to say. But all I'm saying is, this needs to be tested. my research proposal can go a long way in showing the public and giving the public an interest in this subject. Because when the last time you heard about post-traumatic stress disorder on the news? I'll wait. It's just not there. It needs to be there because it is relevant to every profession. School teachers, now they experience post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, look at everything that they go through. You know, look at first responders. You know, social workers. It's just not just one profession, multiple professions. Construction, anything that requires a large amount of stress that can induce a post-traumatic event, you know, hey, stub your toe the wrong way. You never know. It sounds funny, but it's true. Trauma can come just like that, and then you're stuck with it. You don't get rid of trauma. You live with trauma. You can never get rid of the issues that come from trauma. You just live with it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video that I made for y'all. It's been very eye-opening to me. I probably went over my time, but I enjoyed talking about this subject. Then again, like I said, I wish I could do more. Hope you enjoyed my Trinity 9 off the state time. And guys, get this S8. I just got it today. It just came out today. It's better than any iPhone out there. I'll take it easy now.